I'm about to read you one unsettling story, which has happened to me and my family personally. Here it is. This was a downright horrifying experience that will never leave me. It was November of 2013 when I was 11 years old, and all the grade 6s were taking a trip up to NVOS, which stands for North Vancouver Outdoor School. The 2-hour drive was killer for me. I've always had a hobby of motion sickness. The first day was good with many activities that kept our minds occupied, such as building forest structures, salmon catching, but we released them, and night walks, but we had to cut short because our friend Stefan got scared, and because the rest of the group had to be assholes about it. By the time the sun left the sky, the moon was shining brighter than ever, and we did a little roasting of marshmallows and telling scary stories around the campfire, but they were all occasional retarded stories. It was about time to get into our cabins, and it was around 9 p.m. Of course, one of my friends was a little spooked from the stories, so we had to keep one of the bathroom lights on. Some guys couldn't shut the fuck up after turning the lights out, so I didn't get to bed until 10. I had just rolled over for the 100th time, since I've had a problem falling asleep in sleeping bags, when I heard a pair of footsteps splashing the puddles on the main road of the campsite. I thought I was just imagining things until the puddle splashing became louder. It seemed to be getting closer to my cabin. I started getting nervous. I looked at the clock. It was 4:45 a.m. I decided I didn't want to wake anyone up and startle them. So I decided to take a quick peek outside the window. Nothing on the premises, until I noticed something at the corner of my eye. There was a man, slightly crouched down behind a tree, dressed in a black hoodie. The second I noticed him, he stood up straight as a statue, and turned to look at the window. I quickly moved away to the top of my bunk, praying to God that he wouldn't come any closer, and cracked the blinds open, only to watch the man climb the fence that surrounded the vicinity. I tried to be as quiet as possible. I crept out of the cabin, slowly closing the door behind me, and tried not to take my eyes off the man, who was now full-on sprinting on the other side of the fence. I quietly crept over, trying not to make the leaves crunch beneath my feet. I took cover in an old forest structure from a previous field trip group, I suppose, and heard a splash, as if someone was taking a midnight dip. The man had started swimming across the river, which was where the solitary salmon were led for breeding purposes. He started running after swimming across the river, and jumped onto the train trestle, which led around the mountains to Deep Cove, which was again in North Van. I watched as the man began running on the trestle until he turned a bend and was out of sight. I ran back to my cabin and jumped into bed and didn't get any more sleep that night. The next day, my friends seemed to take notice that I was quiet the whole session, and asked me what was up, and I told them about what I had experienced. Some of my friends said, "Holy shit." And some friends from the next cabin to us said that they saw a man walk right up to their door with some spiky object in his hand. If I had to guess, the man wasn't planning on just playing a joke. I never heard from or saw the man again for the rest of the stay. I'd like to thank Mr. Nightmare for the inspiration to write this story, and I'd like all you guys to please subscribe to him. Leave a comment in the comment area below to see what kind of story you want for the next one.